Guys, get ready for my weekly video criticizing cryptocurrency. Now, I want to repeat, I do not believe cryptocurrency will exist in its current form in the future. When I hear people, the best argument people have is that they claim is blockchain. Remember one thing, back in 2000, all these .com businesses said the internet is going to be huge. And the internet was huge. And 99% of those .com businesses went to zero, even though the technology behind them, the internet behind them was in its infancy. It still went to zero. If that doesn't make you understand that blockchain doesn't justify 10,000 or 20,000 cryptocurrencies being worth a lot of money, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to turn off this channel. I'm not going to be able to help you. And if you love me and you think to myself, yeah, but Paul isn't going to got crypto, I appreciate that. I do, because we have people in our community who believe in crypto. And I have no problem saying, I get it. I get that you like the excitement. I'm a libertarian. I love the excitement of being decentralized from the government. But at the end of the day, you are competing with the government. How is that going to go, Mo?
Very poorly.
You don't want your competition to be the government.
Very poorly.
When has it ever been that the U.S. government was like, oh, your competition? We like this. No, they hate it.
Yeah, you're better off trying to compete with like Apple or something.
Guys, for those of you who believe, I hear people say to me, Paul, you don't get it. Bitcoin, you're right on all the other ones, but Bitcoin's the right one. I'm willing to bet that Bitcoin's probably the better one because it's been the most popular. But at the end of the day, you can't tell me an intrinsic value for Bitcoin. And if you think you can, you're delusional. You're absolutely delusional if you think you know the value of Bitcoin. In order to determine the value, it's got to be based on what? Either comps, and what are the comps? Every other comp is way lower than Bitcoin, or two, some sort of income stream. Where's the income stream on crypto?
There's not one. You know, I think it's impressive, and I thought of this when we were texting in our group chat with Dalton over the weekend. It's been 4 years of this. I have not heard one argument that I'm like, okay, I can kind of get behind that.
Well, and they probably hear the same thing. So
probably.
This is the issue.
But I feel like my argument is more valid than theirs. They probably feel the same way, but I'm actually right. There's nothing behind it. This is fugazi.
It is fugazi, and it's blockchain. And like I said, the technology may be awesome. The technology of the internet was awesome. But it didn't mean that every company that started with a website was going to be $1 billion company.
Same thing with EV. The technology for EVs is amazing. Look at all these look at Canoe,
guys,
Rivian.
How many car companies have failed in the last 120 years? The technology was incredible. How many airlines have failed? Technology was incredible. How many computer companies failed? Technology was incredible. How many internet companies failed? If you don't see that point, I will not help you until you lose a lot of money. You have to lose a lot of money. And even then, you might not learn. Literally not a single investor that I respect has crypto. There was only one, and it was Peter Thiel. And guess what he did? He sold in May of last year. He sold everything and made $1.8 billion in profit. And even then I was like, damn, Peter Thiel is a libertarian. I understood why he was behind that. He talks about in his book, 0 to 1, years ago about having a decentralized currency. But guys, it doesn't make sense. So now we're back to this. FedNow. The Fed just announced instantaneous payments between banks and the Fed and allowing users to get instant, which by the way, makes sense. I hate sending a wire and having to wait until they confirm they got it. Mm-hmm. Now, this is not a crypto. And Powell has said that if we want to do some sort of cryptocurrency, it has to go through Congress and do that stuff. I think it's just a matter of time that if crypto does stick around in some form, which I think it will in some form, but it'll be backed by governments.
Yeah, it'll be included somewhere in this arena of FedNow.
I have to, and guess what? You're going to tell me right now. Let me ask you a question. What's the other currency besides the US dollar that the US allows? Remember, crypto was used to get away with not paying taxes and doing illicit activity. Guess what the government did? You're paying taxes now and we're regulating, and we're going to start regulating this even more. You see more and more regulation. In fact, the crypto enthusiasts are now asking for more regulation. The very purpose of crypto is now they're asking for regulation, even though the very purpose of it was to be decentralized and not regulated. Just think about that for a second. If that doesn't stick with you, I don't get it. And I'll repeat till I'm blue in the face. Crypto in its current form will not exist at some point in the future. I could be wrong on this one, absolutely. But in its current form, having let's look at this.
At one point during like 2020, 2021, there was like 1,000 per week that were coming out. Remember that?
Yeah, and it was
Dogecoin was a joke and it took off.
He literally, There are approximately, how many cryptocurrencies are there? This was March 15th of 2023, so just a month ago. There are approximately 22,932 cryptocurrencies. And guess what? You're watching this now going, yeah, but these are the right ones. Guys, there's 10,000 companies out there, and there are 30, 40, 50 of them that are better than the others. I get that. But those companies generate cash flow. They have balance sheets. Why is Bitcoin better at 30? And by the way, you know what the funny part is? That I see it, people do the exact thing. They increase their purchases as the Bitcoin goes up. I laugh hysterically. That guy, what's MicroStrategy guy? He started buying more when crypto went to 23, 24, and then higher. I'm like, wait, but if you really get it, and it really is going to be the future.
You're buying as close to zero as possible.
You should love it at 1,000, but you won't.
Yeah.
If Microsoft tomorrow sold for $50 a share, do you know how fast I would sell? I would kidnap every single person in this room, sell them to slavery to buy Microsoft stock. If Apple went to $50 a share tomorrow, I would literally, if somebody offered me $10 million to kill everybody in this room, I would probably do it in order to buy Apple stock. For those of you in the FBI right now, if you're watching this later, this is a joke completely. Any events that happen afterwards are completely coincidental.
I would need more than 10 million.
You're right. I would probably need more than $10 million. You're right. Guys, FedNow is the start of something, just like the start of regulation was saying, hang on a second, you can't get away with not paying taxes on this money. And it just slowly but surely started to get more government involvement.
And it's, you know what's else funny? How fast that happened.
Yeah.
It's not like it took a long time for that to happen. It was like implemented.
And let's say, and by the way, and exactly it. And let's say that the US government says, okay, fine, we're going to accept Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. Okay, now what? How does it make Bitcoin $100,000 per unit?
I don't know.
I don't get the transition. And if you don't get that, if you don't understand that question, you're not a value investor. You're not an investor if you don't understand that question. Because in order to be an investor, you have to understand what the intrinsic value is. And if you told me right now, here's how I know that crypto doesn't make sense to me. Paul, here's 100 crypto for $100. I don't know that's the right price. Here it is for 100,000. I don't know what the right price is. When I don't know if $1 or 100,000 is the right price, to me, I look at it going, I don't get it. Now, are there other companies where I can get? Yeah, sure. Like commodity businesses, I don't know, but there's still an underlying asset. Look at gold. I own gold mining ETFs. Why? Because even though I might understand the value of gold in terms of itself, I can understand how it's mined and people generate profit off of it. And I see a disconnect when I see gold at $2,000 an ounce and miners out there making a lot of money off that $2,000 an ounce. I can understand that transition. But I don't, and I can understand the idea of cryptocurrencies being out there and crypto exchanges making money off those transactions. I can get that idea, but still, it's too early. Look how many crypto exchanges we've seen go under in the last.
Yeah, and a lot of fraud too.
A ton of fraud.
Not just go away.
Somebody said to me yesterday,
"Thank you.
You just want to be right on." I'm like, well, yeah, of course I want to be right. And I think I am right. Just like every investment I make, I want to be right on, and every bet I make, I want to be right on. And I look at it going, if Bitcoin and cryptos, if I'm wrong on them, what does it mean about the rest of the U.S. economy? What does that mean that we allow people to create 23,000 competitions to the U.S. dollar out of thin air?
Yep.
What does that mean for you and by the way, you can't wait to convert that to US dollars. Think about that.
That's exactly
you are buying cryptocurrency to be different than the US dollar, but then using it to increase your net worth in US dollars so you can buy things in US dollars.
So how is it really a currency?
I don't know.
I mean, how is it going to be?
I'd rather have you buy Honus Wagner baseball cards.
Plus, I mean, look at all these major economies, China, India, that have banned cryptocurrency.
Yeah, but Ecuador, was it Ecuador?
No, it was
El Salvador.
El Salvador.
And that's been a what? What have you heard from that one?
Oh, it's been a disaster. But here's the thing, though.
It was a publicity stunt.
But that was El Salvador. It was just a bad choice.
By the way, when it happened, though, every crypto person was like, see, look. And now it's like, no, El Salvador sucks. I'm like, well, yeah, that was our point. Go look at our videos when El Salvador took it. I was like, this is your poster child?
Listen, if some economy as small as El Salvador can't do it, you're not going to do it on a grander scale.
Exactly. You had the entire backing of the Salvadorian government, and it didn't even work.
Yeah.
You think the U.S. is going to be like, no, we're good. We're good. We're going to do this.
Okay, so Paul, this is why people are worried. This is what's going on in Europe. Tulsi Gabbard, who was on Tucker Carlson's show. Here we go.
If the government were ever to digitize currency, your freedoms would evaporate. They could zero out your bank account and make you impoverished for being disobedient. You would be a serf at best. And with that in mind, you should know that central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, are about to become the norm in Europe. The president of the European Central Bank, Christine Lagarde, has just said that Europeans will not be able to use more than $1,000 in cash anymore.
Now we have in Europe this threshold. Above 1,000 euros, you cannot pay cash. If you do, you are on the gray market. So you take your risk. You get caught, you are fined, or you go in jail.
Wow.
So you go to jail for spending your own money if they don't control it. That's coming here. Tulsi Gabbard has spoken out against it. She, of course, ran for president, served in the House from Hawaii, and joins us now. Congressman, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks, Tucker.
This is so dystopian. You'd hate to think it could ever come here. You think it might?
Well, yeah. I mean, this is just the latest effort by those in power in our country who are intent on undermining and taking away our own freedoms and liberties. This central bank digital currency is about government-sanctioned surveillance and control. It's about them being able to keep track of every single thing that we purchase, whether it's a stick of gum or an automobile or anything in between. And so if they have all this information...
And then if you start rolling into the ESG of things and the kind of the global warming and this and that, that's where if you are a person that spends too much on gas, you fly on planes too often, they can start limiting you in different areas. That's been a lot of the argument that I've been hearing about out there.
And data, which they
True
will
or not, I don't
in
know.
This system, then where does that lead? It gives them the power to decide, okay, well, hey, we don't want to allow you to purchase certain things, or we may deem it necessary to freeze your overall account.
Or they say, so you're going to buy a home for $500,000. Well, we don't want you to buy a $500,000 home. We want you to buy a home that's $325,000. That's what we're going to let you have, even though you might have tens of millions of dollars in the bank.
Power and what they can do with it. It's not something we have to imagine. We've already seen how Democrats in Congress, Elizabeth Warren and others, are pressuring credit card companies to code and keep track of any purchase that's made at a store that sells firearms. Why? So that these private companies can then say, hey.
And some people may be saying, well, that's a good thing, but that gets to the point of, okay, you draw the line. Now, where's the line? They just keep incrementally moving the line. It's like smoking in Ohio. Smoking in restaurants in Ohio. Back in the 2000s, early 2000s, they passed a law where you were not allowed to smoke in restaurants in Ohio. And me personally, I was very against that. I don't smoke. I've never had a cigarette in my life. I don't like smelling cigarette smoke, but I believe that you should be able to, if you have a private restaurant, you should allow smoking in it. It's not up to the government to tell you. Then they just start taking more. Give them an inch and they take a mile.
This person is purchasing, I don't know what they deem is kind of the threshold, but they will then report that as suspicious activity to law enforcement and then expect law enforcement to take action and go after the purchases, legal purchases that a private person made. So this all comes back to how you open this. Once we give up our economic autonomy, we no longer have freedom. Once we allow someone else to control our wallet, they then control our freedom.
Do you think people understand what this means? It'll be sold, as always, as an effort to push back against terrorism or international financiers or crime or whatever, but do people understand on a gut level what could be coming?
I don't think they do, and it's understandable, because if you listen to what the government is telling us, like with all of these other things, whether it's the Patriot Act or the Restrict Act, they're doing the very same thing with this, saying, hey, this is for your own good. This is for your convenience, to make it easier for you to conduct transactions, when in fact they are giving themselves all of the power, taking it away from us, undermining our God-given rights and freedoms in the Constitution, because they want to be able to control us. They want to be able to control we the people.
So that's kind of the reason that everybody's talking about it, and that's where the big amount of fear is coming from.
So again, this is just another bubble. This is, to me, this is the poster. This and EV are the poster child of this bubble, poster children of this bubble. And at some point in the future, 10 years from now, we'll be talking about another bubble that people say, no, but Bitcoin was stupid. Come on. A cryptocurrency? It was so obvious. Guys, every single bubble I hear about after it bursts, you know what people say? It was so obvious. I'm like, that's weird, because you lost a lot of money in it. So how is it so obvious?
You know what the best part about this bubble is?
What's that?
We have over 2,000 videos, and we have thousands and thousands of comments that we can go back to and be like, oh, look at that. You said that back at this time.
I have no problem putting my... Hey, if you listen, I'm fully okay with if crypto ends up being the right thing. Great. I have no problem with you unsubscribing, saying, Paul, you were wrong, you're an idiot. Fine. I am very vehemently against crypto. To me, it's a matter of like, logically, it doesn't make sense. You're literally telling the US government, we are going to be separated from you. The last time that happened, we had a civil war. And yes, that was 1861. But come on, you're telling the US government we're going to be separated from you? All it takes the US government today saying cryptocurrency is banned. Who's the crypto lobby?
No one's going to be able to lobby against the government in this fashion.
I don't get it.
It's just not going to work.
Guys, if you like our video, I want you to sign up for our webinar on April 18th for 30 minutes Eastern time. It's about investing in the future. It's absolutely free. Sign up below with the link below. Trust me when I say you will love it. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.